Welcome to the Reawakening Ancient Feminine Wisdom in Pregnancy, Birth, and Motherhood Summit. I'm your host, Nancy Lucina, and today we have with us Sian Pilkington. Sian is a full-spectrum holistic birth doula and circle facilitator committed to teaching and witnessing initiations in women of all ages. In a perpetual space of study as well as heart opening, she brings knowledge of conscious conception, fertility awareness, as well as pregnancy, childbirth, and the art of postpartum, and honors her role in holding the edges for the emergence of life onto Earth. Sian navigates life with her 4 daughters and husband as she brings ceremony, Reiki healing, and herbal help to her community, just beyond the foothills of the Rocky Mountains. Sian and I discuss how to include rituals during pregnancy and during the postpartum period, different ways we can honor the placenta, herbal helpers, and so much more. Welcome, everyone. Today we have with us Sian Pilkington from seedholisticbirth.com. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you.
So the first thing I want to talk to you about is rituals. So I know that we're both a fan of bringing in rituals more into our daily lives, I think, as women, and also during pregnancy and postpartum. So I was wondering if you could share with us your favorite rituals to do for pregnant women or postpartum or both, and also like why you think it's so important that we include these kind of things, especially in this phase of our lives.
Okay. So I run sacred pregnancy retreats with my partner, Jenny Faye, and one of the first things that we delve into is the idea of creating sacred space. And that in itself becomes very ritualistic, but it's more than just creating a pretty altar with a goddess and a stack of cards and a picture of your baby or whatever that is. It's about actually starting to claim your own space, a boundary that many women and mothers just can't place. So we like the idea of creating a ritual around claiming your sacred space. And that can be having something in your kitchen. It can be having a clear kitchen. It can be having somewhere around your bathroom. It can be having a designated space in your house. It can be having a tray that's portable, which you move around, because sometimes we don't always have the space, the physical space to create something just for us. This becomes ritualistic because every single day a woman can go to that spot and see everything that's inspiring or important to her in this pregnancy journey. And it's also letting the people around her know, her family and friends, her birthing team, whoever it is, it's letting them know that she takes this seriously, that she takes her own space right now in pregnancy and going forward into birth very seriously. And people become respectful of her space, which is something that can be very much missing in our birthing world, society, community now, right? So that's one way to start to introduce the idea of a ritual into daily life, which is very simple. And then we can move on to something a little bit more in depth and deep, like the mother blessing. As some people would call that a blessing way. I know that you facilitate them too, Nancy. We do. I've had my own, and there is something so beautiful and inspiring about ceremony and ritual. It may not seem like a ritual offhand, but when this becomes a part of our community in general, it becomes a pregnancy ritual. With that, we can be honoring the mother by physically adorning her. We can bring to her prayer and offerings and gifts. We can bring words of affirmation. We can invite her to start creating the affirmations for herself. And if this is done in a good time in her pregnancy, not too close to the end, then she actually has time to use the tools from this as a pregnancy practice for the rest of her time, and moving into that space just before you have a baby where your birth shaman is very much present and your crown is open to your child, and you can begin to integrate it all. So that's a few of the pregnancy rituals, along with journaling is a very simple one, but not everybody feels like sitting down to write with pen and paper. Right.
But what kind of questions, if people did, what kind of questions do you recommend that women kind of sit with to journal with during pregnancy?
Okay, so sometimes, often actually, we birth workers will hear women speak to us about other people's stories, and so-and-so's baby was saved by this. This
Mm-hmm,
baby
mm-hmm.
would have died if this had not happened. That's not to say there's an untruth to all of those things, but sometimes fear sits really deeply within us, and
Mm-hmm.
it's a good time to question whether these fears that are coming up in our mind around an illness with the baby, around a condition or an event that might happen in birth, it's a good time to sit with those questions and ask where it's coming from.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Journaling allows us to be really messy with our thought process, right? It
Mm-hmm.
allows us just to put things down onto paper and kind of dissect it and go from where we need to each day, or just in that one sitting. So that's a question I would bring up is, what is this specific fear or query that's on my mind now? Where is that stemming from? Is it something that's cellular for me, from my
Mm-hmm.
birth, from my mum's? Do I need to speak to my own parents about this? Or is it
Mm-hmm.
coming from a story from my cousin or my friend? And what did that mean to them? Why is this triggering to me? Not, and I can't give answers to any of those questions, but I can invite people to look into that and delve a little deeper.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Beautiful.
it's really funny I wouldn't have thought what questions to ask when journaling, because it's just so personal, right? And
Yeah.
it's what comes up for you along the way. Who you want in your birthing team as well. That's a good time to get clear on that, because there's a lot of guilt around omitting people from our space who want to come in.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel good to us. So to get clear with that and what our boundaries are around that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Could you go into a little bit more depth about the blessing way, in terms of, like, if someone's watching this right now and they've never heard of it and they're thinking, how do I even have that happen for myself? Like, do you have any recommendations about how, in your community, it's pretty established, right? You have people who are leading these blessing ways, you and your partner and maybe others. So women maybe know who they can go to. I don't know if you have any advice for a woman like that who's like, I've never heard of a blessing way, but I want it. What should I do?
Okay, so maybe what I should do first in that case is actually explain a little bit more about what a blessing way is.
Yeah.
We can go on to how we can get there. So a mother blessing is, it's a gathering of a woman's closest sister friends, usually cousins, aunties, just friends, the mother, whoever it is that she feels closest and most supported to. And in our modern day society, we have the baby shower.
Yeah.
And which is a lovely thing, but very often that is, I feel like it's put in place more so for the guests and for the baby, because the guests are just desperate to do something for that mother and to celebrate her, and the only way that they know to do that is what's already been offered, which is to bring something for a baby.
Mm.
And I know for me, I had a baby shower, and whilst I was grateful for it, it was so foreign to me, because being English, this was just not something that we did in my country.
Mm.
And it was really awkward for me to sit down to a group full of women who I had to then open gifts in front of for a baby that I had not yet met. I didn't know the sex of this baby. And I was like, it was just very, felt very awkward to me.
Mm.
When I had my blessing way, I chose the people that I wanted in this group.
Mm.
I gave them ideas, and with the understanding that the reason they were coming together was to celebrate me in my final days of this pregnancy before I stepped
Mm-hmm.
into the next stage of motherhood. So I asked them each to bring a bead, and the beads were offered to me, and I had a lot of friends with me, so I ended up having enough beads to create a birth necklace.
Mm.
And there was also 2 bracelets for my baby, because there were a few left over. And this necklace hung next to my bed so I could look at it all the time.
Mm.
And when it came to birth, I put this around my neck, and for me, I really did feel the support of that. It was a physical reminder in the midst of physical kind of chaos almost,
Mm.
that there was the support of these women who at that time had sat round with me in circle and given me their offerings and told me the reasons why they thought I was strong, and why I was beautiful, and why I could do this, and why I was going to be held no
Mm.
matter what way this journey went for me and whatever I was feeling in this journey. So this becomes about really bringing pregnancy back to the mother, and
Mm.
removing it away from outside influences and outside personas, and actually reminding the mum that she's in communion with her baby. She isn't separate. This isn't about the baby or about her. This is about how the two are going to come together as a unit and how she's supported by the people around her. So it was one of the most beautiful things I've ever had, by far. And I still look back on that and get quite emotional and
Yeah, I can sense that.
So a way to do that, I think, first and foremost, is to understand that this doesn't have to be a grand gathering. It doesn't have to be a huge amount of women that come together, but it does have to be people that you trust implicitly. Might be the people that you want to call upon when your birth journey begins, to say, light a candle for me, please, knowing that they really are going to do that and they really are going to hold space, and they're not the sort of people that may run off and tell others that a birthing journey. You need to feel safe with these women. So that could be 3 women and it could be 30. And then take a good look into yourself and figure out what it is that would make you feel special in that moment. What would make you feel supported? You can have my women made a dream catcher for me. I didn't know they were going to do that, but it was perfect because my dreams were so intense through that pregnancy. So they created a dream catcher, and they adorned me. I had my hair braided and my belly was out, and they brought me these beads, and they had beautiful food for me because women like to eat together. Breaking bread is a way to form community, and we really enjoy to do that. It's a sensual pleasure, right?
Yeah.
So for me, I find that sensuality in pregnancy is everything. And I need my senses to be nurtured, and they really did that for me. There were essential oils, and there was good food, and everything looked beautiful. My partner Jenny Faye set out an altar that was small but just beautiful, and the lights were dim. I wore a flower crown and all the things that just set a scene for me to be able to sink into this and really feel held.
Beautiful.
So find one woman, and I don't think that it always pays to hand that completely over to another person. I think sometimes it's nice for us to have a say in what's going on, but have conversation around it, and just remember that it doesn't have to look like anything. It looks like what you need it to be. And Pinterest has lots of ideas, but take what serves you and leave what doesn't.
Yeah. Great. Thank you. That was a really good explanation for anybody who doesn't know. So tell us about postpartum rituals, and maybe talk a little bit about the energetics of postpartum and why it is important as well to bring these rituals into that part of it's all about the birth, right? Everybody's preparing for the birth, and then they're like, oh, wait a second, nobody told me about this. So slowly but surely there's so much more information coming about the postpartum period, and it's so incredibly important. So I'd love if you could share your perspective on that.
Absolutely. And postpartum, I'm so passionate about, for that very reason. Women are forgotten in it all. I'm going to go back just before birth occurs to prepare for postpartum.
Yeah,
so I'm going to go chronologically through the process.
Yeah.
So nesting appears for women in many different ways, but one of the ways that we can nest is to prepare for our postpartum, and not just for the arrival of our baby. So we can start to prepare a basket of things that are going to be helpful to us immediately after birth. I turn to herbs for this. So especially if you're having a subsequent baby, I can hear my child. As a subsequent child, you have to think about the fact that you may have more severe after pains. The after pains is the uterus contracting back down after the baby. Oh no! Let me find 1 second. Say hi.
Hello, cutie.
There you go. You take it. Hi. So arnica for any internal bruising and any aches and pains, any perineal damage internally can really help with that. Cranberry bark tincture for the after pains is a really good one. If you keep on top of that and take it every 20 minutes before nursing, it can really, really, really help. Okay. I know. After my 4th baby, I had that prepared because I had pretty intense after pains with my 3rd. I know it worked because during the day when I was on top of taking my tincture, I didn't get the severe after pains. At nighttime, when I wasn't remembering to take it because I was sleeping, they woke me up. Okay. So cranberry bark tincture is a good one to take. Calendula, spray for the perineum, a sitz bath, which you can have somebody else create, you can buy online, or you can make your own really simply with herbs such as comfrey, calendula, some lavender, some sea salt, and preparing meals. And this is where we start going back to the village mentality and nurturing a woman.
Which I wanted to talk to you about so badly today. So yeah.
Well, this is where we can begin it for our postpartum, because we can invite those same women in who had our blessing way with us, or even not, just one woman, and say, I really need to create healthy, nutritious, warming foods for my postpartum, but I don't want to do this alone. It can be fun. Let's have a day where we create the food, because the idea of filling a freezer all by yourself when you're pregnant is not necessarily,
right.
You're like enthusiastic about that, right?
Yeah.
But create community around that and talk about your stories, about your birth stories, about how you think this food's going to serve you, what's delicious, what you do like, what you don't like, life, babies. That day's going to go fast, and you're going to have a pretty full freezer.
Yeah.
And from the standpoint of Chinese medicine, a woman is very open and cool after birth, and we need to replace that with warming foods and warming energy. So lightly spiced foods and easily digestible foods, and soups, rice dishes. All of these things are said to really help promote the healing for a mother, and I found that to be true for myself too. So that's how we can start to prepare for postpartum before we even get there. But then when we are postpartum, that begins the minute a baby arrives. And then when the baby arrives, its twin is just about to arrive, which is the placenta. And the placenta is what they call the forgotten chakra. There is a book, The Forgotten Chakra. Right?
I know that book.
It's a good one. And but it does, it's said that when women have depression and they're not finding the very cause of it, we can ask, I think it's Robin Lim actually does ask, where is your placenta? Where is your placenta? And if a woman does not know where her placenta is, it can cause anxiety and depression on a subconscious level. So I encourage all women, even if they do not want to use their placenta, please keep it. Keep it until you know what you want to do with it, even if it means burying it. But keep it close and allow your baby the presence of its twin, because it's what has sustained your child throughout the entire time, and it's been working together with you both. So when the placenta is arriving, you can choose to have a managed third stage, which means using oxytocin to help it to deliver quicker. There's sometimes medical reasons for that, or you can allow it to come away in its own time and use the force of gravity to help it to detach and come away. And then there are different things that you can choose to do with your placenta. So again, I invite you to look further into that. You can do a lotus birth, whereby you leave it attached, baby, until it's ready to fall off, and you can salt it in the meantime. Or you can just do a very delayed cut. Delayed core clamping is important for many reasons, but it doesn't have to be just the 5 to 7 minutes. It can be a few hours, and there is still a infusion going on. So keep the placenta, and then there are things that you can do with the placenta for a physical level. You can encapsulate if that resonates with you in a traditional Chinese method, or a raw method, or you can consume it smoothie wise. I think that it's a good idea to look at anecdotal evidence, because there isn't a lot of scientific evidence around placenta encapsulation and consumption. You may feel that it just does not sit with you or land with you, and it isn't for you, but it may be something you want to look into. And the tinctures can work really well, because they can work years down the line. So the placenta is just something I wanted to touch on so that doesn't get forgotten. And
I wanted you to talk about that, actually.
Wapio actually does placenta readings. So she'll take the reader, she'll take the placenta, she'll place it down, and this is a few days after birth, and she'll invite the parents to come in and watch, and she'll look at the images that she sees within the placenta. And this I think this can be a really powerful ceremony to have if it's something that you're open to. And I know the stories that she's told me is that this has really opened gates, not just to the mother, but to the father. The father has really resonated with what's been seen in the placenta. But so I can move on from here. I think I would summarize with the placenta that.
Well, I just want to pause. What about if they're like, oh, I can't even like eat it, or like
consume it in any way, but I want to honor it in some way. You talked about burying it. Do you have any kind of suggestions around how to do that burial process, or some other kind of way to honor the placenta if you're not going to consume it?
Yeah, plant it with a tree.
Yeah.
Partner Jenny Faye didn't know what to do with her placenta. She didn't want to use this one, so she actually she had a lemon tree, and she planted it with the lemon tree, and the lemon tree grew, despite it being, we don't live in a place that's conducive to lemon trees growing. She brought it indoors through the colder months, and then she made lemon meringue pie on her baby's first birthday. The lemons that grew,
Cool.
right?
Yeah.
So there's things that you can do. The only thing that I say about planting it outdoors is if you think you're going to move, I'd be kind of upset to leave it behind, but that would be me personally, not everybody. But finding a spot, even if you did want to encapsulate it and not consume it, you could encapsulate it and sprinkle it somewhere also. There's many things that you can do with it.
True. Yeah.
But such a lot of nourishment in the raw placenta that it's kind of a shame to encapsulate it if you don't mind utilizing it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I think if I was to have another baby, I would probably take a portion and smoothie it, take a small portion and tincture it, and I would bury the remainder.
Okay. Yeah.
That would be my point. My little one's watching Pig.
Sorry, I cut you off. You were on the way to say something else about maybe
I was trying to wrap up the placenta so that I could. I'm just going to turn something down just a little bit so I can hear a bit better. There you go. Now we're all both good, right? So, oh my goodness, Ivy, Hazel. Right. So after placenta encapsulation for the postpartum period, ceremonies around it. So I offer something called, excuse me, a sealing ceremony. Together with traditional Benkung belly binding. And the theory behind this is that, again, a woman's body is left very much raw and open and wide and vulnerable after having a baby. And I do think there's something to be said for having a vulnerable spot also. It makes us very soft with our children. But when we have to continue on with daily life and we need some sort of closure to the experience, not to motherhood, not to more babies, although that can be a reason to do it, just to the experience so we can move on a little bit more, then this sealing ceremony is a real beautiful, energetic way to do that. Again, this is about carrying forward the idea of the village. So we began in pregnancy with hopefully with our circles of women and the women that we invited into our mother blessing and whoever we invited into our birth journey. And then we invite them back in to witness us as we're sealed. And this is so we have scarves that are placed down the energy centers of the body, beneath the body. As a woman lays down on the bed, she's given a deep massage with warming oils and warming herbs, warming oils and essential oils. And the reason to do that is to move the lymphatic system along and to just nourish her like on a physical and an emotional level. So Jenny and I each take a side of the woman's body and we really just massage her. I think postnatal massage is one of the lost arts. It's something that is not brought to a woman the way that it should be to honor and help her body begin the healing process. So we give this deep massage with the women holding space around us, or sometimes no women, and then we put a warming belly paste on, which you can create yourself. It's things like cumin and cinnamon and cardamom and turmeric. The woman is then sealed with some blessings all the way down her body, and then she's opened again. The scarves are opened again. We open her to motherhood. We've just closed her and blessed every energy center and said thank you for what you've done. Thank you for this work and your gift. And now we're opening you to the motherhood. We open you. So you open you back up to this next phase, and we see you, we feel you. And then we use a Benkung belly bind to physically start to bring this musculoskeletal body back and help, again, the lymphatic system and help the spine to realign, because our body is just moved in such a way that everything has a new little place in our body, right? And we want it to come back so that we can function on a non-pregnant state again. That's a ceremony and a ritual that I just think it's really beautiful. I really do. And it's unfortunate that this seems to be only, I think and feel and know actually that this is very much it's an old art. These are from the old culture, but still it's been seen as something new, almost faddy and trendy. And I feel like it's only been offered to certain privileged people when this should be something offered to everyone. So to me, it can feel sticky around this, right? This, I want to see this become just common practice, even if it isn't ceremonial, just the physical aspects of it, the massage and the binding. I really want to see that come back. A woman then learns how to do a bengkung belly bind, and while she might fall off the wagon because she has a newborn to tend to, when she does do it, I remember that what that made me was very mindful of my body. Like it encouraged me to look in the mirror and watch myself and look at how my body was changing and see how the waist kind of started to shrink a bit, but the belly was still there from a baby and the boobs were large and my body was adapting to nourish a baby in a whole different way. So we can maybe become very much more mindful of my body and the way that I was treating my body and spending time with it, 5 minutes. So I just think it's a really beautiful practice to do postpartum. And I think I pretty much touched mostly on what I wanted to say about the massage. If a woman was to do anything for herself postpartum, I think it should be to get a massage therapist to her home with 2 days of birth and give her a really, really good massage. And chiropractic adjustments are always good, but I think that hands-on body work.
Yes, absolutely.
I think a woman can feel so kind of like high on such a highly vibrating kind of etheric realm when she's just had a baby, that it kind of helps her to ground back into her body, back down in her body. And I think also if a woman isn't told as soon as she's given birth, you're done, like you're done, she's even more so out in the ethers, out in different realms. So she can be out there for a few days, got back in, you know. Burnout after day 3 or 4, and I don't think it's just a hormonal and just a sleep deprived thing. I think it's because she's just desperate to come back in a little bit more now.
Get back into the body. Yeah, exactly. Wonderful. Thank you so much. You mentioned a little bit about the herbs that you recommended for postpartum. Do you recommend certain herbs to work with during pregnancy as well?
Sure. I think that the ones that we can use for fertility, other than red clover, are the same ones that can carry through to our pregnancy and postpartum. The 2 main ones that I tend to recommend are red raspberry leaf and nettle, because both are blood builders, both are very toning. Nettle has lots of vitamin K and iron in it, which is really good for a woman, not just through her pregnancy where she's dealing with the stores of the baby, but also, and the baby depleting those stores from her, but also because postpartum you're going to lose blood. There's going to be lochia and there may be heavier bleeding, we don't know. So to fortify your body with that during pregnancy is really important. And for the baby also, it's not just we're not just talking about the mother here, right? We're talking about what's going to nourish the baby. If a mother doesn't want to have the vitamin K shot for any reason for her baby, then if you're having a good liter a day of nettle infusion, then she knows that her baby's been getting good stores of vitamin K through pregnancy also. So the way that I like to prepare, in 1 second, okay? You want to come sit with me? Have one.
We're stealing your mama for a few more minutes.
Yeah. Okay, in a minute. Come say hi.
Hi. I'm going to steal your mama just for a few more minutes, okay?
I would recommend storing. Would you like some milk? I don't have any. I'll just be a minute, okay? She wants yogurt. I don't have any yogurt.
If you need to wrap up soon, just let me know. I had a few more questions, but it won't take that long.
Okay. You can prepare an infusion by getting about 1 ounce of dried herb to 4 ounces of boiling water and letting it steep for 4 to 8 hours or overnight. And then straining that material and refrigerating the well, I like it cold personally, but drinking the remaining liquid.
Okay.
And I usually do what Susan Weed is actually a really good herbalist to go to for this. She has herbs for the childbearing years, I believe it's called, and it's a really good beginner book, and it helps with lots of pregnancy and birth, postpartum related issues. I tend to steep it at night, last thing at night, and then in the morning I strain it, and an hour later I'll begin to drink it once it's cooled off a little bit. I think it just serves your body to have that plant life, that like vital energy in you anyway at any point, but I really think that those are two that are going to work well for you throughout the whole experience of and postpartum and birth. And people can be really shy away from red raspberry leaf and be frightened off because they believe it's going to induce them. Red raspberry leaf does not induce labor. What it does is it tones the uterus. So if your uterus is trapped, it makes it a lot more efficient. So it will not make you begin labor. If you are having if you're having pre-labory symptoms and you're early, like premature, then maybe back off a little bit because you don't want to encourage your uterus to work.
Right.
But it wouldn't induce. So it's one of the best tonics for the female system that we have.
Yeah. So for you, that was a daily drink for you as well as the nettles during pregnancy?
I would take hands. I would have nettle and then red raspberry leaf because I remember during my last pregnancy with Hazel, I wanted to drink all the stuff. I didn't have a big appetite, but I was very thirsty. I just wanted to drink and even drink my food, like smoothies. So I did get a lot in my body then in terms of herbal infusions, but I wasn't forcing it, and I wouldn't encourage anybody to. A liter of either one a day is going to be fine. And that's probably more towards what I aim for now. I still feel postpartum 2.5 years on, and I still believe it's helping me. But those two herbs will also really help to enrich your breast milk too. So as a baby and you want to help the richness of that milk that your baby's getting, then again, and if that's already part of your practice to drink it every day, it won't feel like another thing that you have to do when you have a newborn. It would just be part of your day, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's about getting into those routines and really learning to honor ourselves and nourish ourselves in those ways that it doesn't feel like this pain, like, oh, I got to make this thing. It's like a way to really take care of ourselves, and for me that's a way to help women also ground, claim their sovereignty, create sacred space, like even in their kitchen, like what you were talking about at the beginning, right? So
yeah, I was going to say the same thing so much. I think that women have such a hard time claiming space, and if they don't get good at that in pregnancy, it can really carry through to their birth. They're
good
not
point.
Sovereignty, they're not in their queendom, and they feel very much under the authority of somebody else. And they're not to be blamed for that at all, but I think that we can help counteract that by creating boundaries and claiming space in pregnancy and before.
Yeah, and it's something that we have to work on because of the certain programming that we have received over our lives. It's actually something that a lot of us have to actively work on a daily basis during pregnancy, I think. So I think that's a really good point to bring up too, so women don't feel alone, because I do hear that a lot, way more often than I would prefer. Like, well, they told me to do this, they told me to do this, speaking of a certain authority, when actually it's you and you have the right to say yes or no. It's not that you're being told. So yeah, practicing those gentle ways of claiming the power and the sovereignty every day is really important. So well, I only have one other question, but before we get to that, if you want to share briefly about any offerings you have for anyone who's in your area. I know you do a lot of in-person stuff, and if there's anything you want to share about online as well, we'd love to hear.
Okay, so Jenny Faye and I, my partner, like I said before, we facilitate sacred pregnancy retreats, which is a 2-day mini retreat of just a very deep dive into pregnancy, birth, relationship, fear release, honoring the mother connection and expectations. There's so much that goes on, and there's lots of pretty pictures floating around the internet of sacred pregnancy with flower crowns and beautiful things, but it's so much more than that. It's very raw. And these strong community afterwards. I have women that are feeding each other's babies who make these retreats, and it's just astounding to watch. So we offer sacred pregnancy retreats. We offer them every time on a donation only basis because we want to make them accessible to women. all women, should I say. And we hold them quarterly. We try to do it around the equinoxes and solstices, so seasonally. Our next one is on December 2nd and 3rd, and that's in the Calgary area, always Calgary, Alberta. We are full spectrum birth doulas, so we offer support through every kind of birth, miscarriage, loss, abortion, early birth, premature, should I say, post-dates, water, but every single birth. I've attended twins, VBACs, breech, everything. So we are very much holistic. We are very much full spectrum. We have our own philosophies around things, but we hold space for people that need us. So you can find out about our services and packages at seedholisticbirth.com. You already mentioned that. And we are both also circle facilitators. So I run circles for little girls, maidens, 4 to 11. We facilitate monarchy ceremonies. And then there are the other ceremonies like the mother blessings and the postpartum. I'm a Reiki master. I'm always open to working distance Reiki and so I'm reachable through my website also for that.
Yeah, and maybe I could say that I would suggest following you on Instagram. I love hearing about all of your adventures in raising your 4 incredible daughters and just everything that goes along with that. And I feel like you're so raw and real, and I feel like you also really invite women into motherhood. Like I always get really excited about having another kid when I read anything from you. So do you mind if I share your Instagram? Yeah, it's at When Women Gather, right?
When
Women Gather. Yeah. So check that out. So my last question, sorry, what were you going to say?
We also have the business one, which is at Seed Holistic Birth.
Yes, perfect. Thank you. So my last question I'm asking everyone is, it's a short one. So what, if you could go back in time, now that you know everything that you know and have experienced everything that you have experienced, and give yourself one little piece of advice before you had your first child, what would it be? I know that's really hard. If you could just sum up the essence.
Oh, heavens, let me think. Oh, it'd be different for me. Be connected to your body. I was 20 weeks pregnant when I found out I was pregnant with my first baby, and I was so disconnected to my body that I needed assistance in becoming connected to my body. And then when I had a very, very fast labor, I felt like it happened to me because this baby was hurtling through my body in under 3 hours, but I was not connected to my body. So I felt very much like a deer in headlights. Like she was just channeling through me and I had nothing situation. So connection in pregnancy. And if you can't figure out a way to do that, then enlist help. Really find people. I think that craniosacral is a beautiful, gentle practice to start inviting into your pregnancy if it's not something you're doing.
Yeah. Wonderful. Thank you so much. It's been such a joy to talk to you today. And yeah, have a wonderful rest of your day. And I'm sure your daughter is happy to have you back.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.